it's Julia from Violinspiration.com, and today I want to teach you a quick technique that will really help you to improve your intonation. So keep watching if you feel like you ever played a tune out of tune, which is I think almost everybody. But especially if you still have trouble playing in tune, this video is for you. The principle that I want to teach you today is the principle of double contact. And you might be like, Julia, wait a second, why don't you just play song? This is a principle that is not a song, not a skill, there's not a specific thing. You can do it and apply it in every single song and skill that you play. So maybe it is even more useful than just a simple exercise or skill or whatever. So the principle of double contact is the following. The idea behind this teaching technique is that the student, which would be you or me, we are all students, right? The student should place the hand in such a way that there's always 2 points of contact between the hand and the instrument. I will show you what it looks like. If you place your hand on the violin, on the moment there's 2 ways of touching the violin. The first one would be that you only place your thumb in first position on the violin and then you place your finger on the string. There would be only 1 point of contact in this situation. The finger doesn't count because the finger is playing, so the finger is actually the part of the hand that is relying on the double contact, if that makes sense. So the fingers are not 1 point of contact. They are not seen as one. So right now there would be 1 point of contact and then you place the finger on the string. And the idea is that if there's only 1 point of contact, it is harder to orientate yourself. It is harder to know exactly where to place your finger. So you can try it yourself. So place your finger a little bit higher and a little bit lower. And do you feel that it doesn't feel like such a big difference? It's much harder to get a reliable feeling of where to put your finger. So now let's try to make a double contact with your instrument. That means not only placing your thumb, but also the base of your index finger, and that's different for everybody. It depends on how long your fingers are and how big your hand frame is. Place it against the instrument. So you're going to place it and you're going to touch excuse me, and you're going to touch the fingerboard with the base of your index finger. Now I want you to try to place your finger again, and as you feel, it feels like much bigger difference. On the moment you place your finger a little bit higher or lower, you feel much more of a difference in feeling in your finger. Do you feel it? It gets much easier to get a feeling of where your hand should be. You might be like, hey, wait Julia, wait a second. That doesn't apply to fourth position, right? Because from fourth position onwards, you are not touching the violin anymore with the base of your index finger. Still, the principle of double contact is still the case because from fourth position onwards, you are actually touching with your hand, you're touching the body of the instrument. So there's still 2 points of contact, the thumb, and in this case it will be the hand. So from the fourth position onwards, you will use the hand as a double contact point, and third position and lower positions, you are using the base of the index finger. So this will make it much easier to actually get a proper feeling of where your finger should be. And I very often see the correlation where people that are not holding their fingers close to the instrument or that are not having 2 points of contact with the instrument find it harder to find the correct intonation. So I really want you to try this technique if you feel like it is very hard to rely upon where your hand exactly is and you feel like you don't have a sense of feeling for that, where to place your fingers, and it's hard to develop. Definitely give this a try. Now I have to mention something else. There is some exceptions. The first thing is maybe not an exception at all. This is something you should keep in mind all the time when you are using this principle. And that is that the contact should always be very loose and flexible. What I mean with that is that you shouldn't clinch the fingerboard between your hands. That is a downfall of if you would be using this and translate it into the wrong way, you would really, feel very strong contact. the idea is that the double contact principle is actually also says that it is really important to have very loose contact, because you should be able to feel this contact also with only a loose touch, because you should get used to that. Just imagine that on the moment you are playing really fast, you should only need a little bit of contact, and then you already know where your fingers are. So you should not rely upon very strong contact, but very loose contact. Also, of course, your finger motion, everything will be better if your hand is relaxed and loose. So it is also only a brief touch, it is not a very strong clinching. And there is an exception to this, and that is when you are using a very big vibrato. Because if you use a lot of vibrato, you actually need to release the contact point below the index finger to create a bigger and wider vibrato. So for vibrato, you might want to not use this specific technique. But then again, you can always use it between the passages. So if you are playing some very big vibrato notes and then you're switching to a higher position, you can still get into contact during that switching, so you can feel where your hand and your fingers are. So I hope this double contact tip helps you and helps you to create a better intonation. And let me know in the comments, did you ever use this technique? And if not, are you going to use it after watching this video? I wish you good luck practicing. Violin is a difficult instrument, but if you keep on going years after years, you will see progress, I promise you. Often everybody is like, after only 2 weeks, they are like, oh my god, I will never learn it. But after a few years you will look back and see, wow, I have improved so much. So if you are currently struggling with your intonation, know that this is normal. Every violinist has to go through this. And to be quite honest, it always remains a little bit of an issue. It always remains a little bit difficult to always have the correct intonation. But that is part of the fun of it as well. And I wish you good luck practicing on this never-ending journey, and see you back on this channel hopefully next week for the next violin tutorial. Goodbye!